It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of September 27th, 1996. 7 movies to look at, a lot of show to get to. Let's go ahead and jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Hugh Grant and Gene Hackman in the thriller Extreme Measures.
Extreme Measures, a ferociously suspenseful thriller.
They're gonna kill us!
Hugh Grant and Gene Hackman make riveting adversaries.
You're not God.
You'd better think about that. Extreme Measures is the best thriller since The Fugitive. Hugh Grant, Gene Hackman, Extreme Measures, rated R. Starts Friday.
So this is done by Michael Apted. Michael Apted's a guy we've talked about. We've reviewed some of his movies on here, including Class Action, Thunderheart, Blink, Nell. A very good director. Of course, he's also done stuff like Coal Miner's Daughter, Continental Divide, Critical Condition. His next movie he'd do would be the James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough. And also of note about this movie is a production of both Hugh Grant and Elizabeth Hurley. And I get the feeling that after what Hugh Grant did back in 1995 with that prostitute, this was kind of a way for them to kind of keep their relationship together, to have Elizabeth Hurley producing a movie on here, because I don't know why Elizabeth Hurley's producing this movie, but she's one of the producers on here. And it's written by Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy is a notable action movie writer. He's written a lot of great scripts in his career. The movie overall basically dealing with the effects of medical sacrifices. It's a genuinely enjoyable film. Is it a great film overall? Not exactly. The story does kind of taper off a little bit. It's one of those movies where it has an intriguing premise to it, has some good ideas to it, but it botches the landing with a pretty standards ending. The performances overall are really good. I really like Hugh Grant in this movie. He's kind of playing a character that's completely outside of his norm. He's been playing like the character we see in Four Weddings and a Funeral, or even something like 9 Months. He's playing a more serious role here. And I think he does a pretty good job in the role here. Gene Hackman's also very good here, as is Sarah Jessica Parker. David Morse is also in here as well. It has this dark, gritty feel to it that I think works very well here. Some good music by Danny Elfman. I think it is an overall enjoyable film. It's the story that really kind of tapers it off, because once it gets to that third act, which is pretty mediocre, and you need like a big twist to really make this a masterpiece, but it just kind of takes the safe way down, honestly. It doesn't really do anything to make it really unique or incredible. It's just kind of mediocre. It's not that it's bad or anything, but you really want a much better ending for what they're setting up here compared to what you get. Like I said, the movie isn't bad. I'd say it's actually legitimately decent. It really could have been a whole lot better had the ending been a whole lot better, though. But I'd say for a one-time watch, it's not that bad. That's Extreme Measures. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is 2 Days in the Valley.
There's a man that's going to come looking for me. He wants to finish the job he botched.
Life insurance. He's going to get our money. Who says money can't buy happiness?
People don't realize how important a minute is.
Until they only have one left. 2 Days in the Valley, rated R. Starts Friday, September 27th at theater.
Very much kind of a Pulp Fiction / Shortcuts type of feel to it. You've got all these characters meeting up over the course of 2 days, and it's a really good cast. You've got Danny Aiello, Jeff Daniels, Terry Hatcher, Glenn Headley, Marsha Mason, Paul Mazursky, James Spader, Eric Stoltz, Charlize Theron. This is written and directed by John Hirschfeld, who had previously done the infamous John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John film Two of a Kind, and after this he'd do 15 Minutes with Edward Norton and Robert De Niro. Was that with Robert De Niro? Just making sure. Yeah, no, it has Robert De Niro, but Edward Burns is the other person who's in that movie, not Edward Norton. But he's been a decent director, and this is probably his best film overall. It does have moments in there that are very enjoyable. There are some enjoyable scenes in here. The writing overall is okay. It definitely feels like they're trying to create a new Pulp Fiction while also trying to do something similar to, like I said before, Shortcuts. Not every story works here. Not every story is really compelling. There are some good funny moments, but there are also some good dramatic moments. I don't think it really balances the story out that well to balances both the comedy and the drama out, like something like Pulp Fiction does. But of the Pulp Fiction clones that came out around this time, this is probably one of the stronger ones. It has a really good cast that does a very good job here. And it is an enjoyable film. It is an enjoyable film, but kind of like with Extreme Measures, it doesn't really stick the landing when it matters the most. I think the script really is the biggest problem with it. It definitely could have been a whole lot better, but as it is, it's definitely a really an enjoyable film. I was really glad I saw this movie for the first time, and will be the last movie that we'll talk about with Charlize Theron on 96. Wait till next week, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and take a look at our next film, and that is Mike Leigh's Secrets and Lies.
Films presents Secrets and Lies, nominated for 5 Academy Awards.
That's lovely.
Including Best Picture,
My name's Hortense Cumberbatch.
Best Actress,
That's a funny name, isn't it?
Best Supporting Actress,
What are your expectations? I just want to know.
Best Screenplay,
You know the party, Sunsy. Can I bring a mate?
and Best Director.
She can't be the one that...
The things you know nothing about.
Secrets and Lies, rated R.
So this is a story about this woman who is a black middle-class London optimist who was adopted by a baby and has chosen to track her family history and discovers that her birth mother is a working-class white woman with a dysfunctional family. And this is kind of the story where they figure out their secrets of the secrets of everybody in this family, and it affects their everyday life. This is directed by Mike Leigh, of course. We've talked about some of his movies in the past, and I don't think I ever remember seeing this movie before I looked at those other Mike Leigh movies. I did look at this because it was one of the Best Picture nominees of 1996, just to see if it was really worth it, and I pretty much thought it did. It doesn't do a whole lot like the usual lackluster Oscar baiters type movies do. I really thought I was going into this expecting another cliche-riddled Oscar bait film, but I really didn't get that. I got a lot of really good performances out of here. You got Timothy Spall, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Brenda Blevin, just a really good cast overall here, a really good story to tell, and it does manage to balance the comedic moments and the more serious moments very well here. The performances overall are really what carries the film over. It's a really enjoyable film. I would say it's definitely one of the stronger films of 96. You can definitely see why it would be considered one of the best pictures of the year. It is a really good film and a really good showcase for Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who was really good in the film. And I'm glad that she got a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. And the movie overall was really good. I really enjoyed the film. I highly recommend checking it out. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Secrets and Lies. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie here, and that is Curdled, produced by Quentin Tarantino.
Somewhere in the city, a serial murderer is about to strike again.
Tonight, we profiled the reign of terror of Miami's blue blood killer.
But there's one woman in town
You had a job like this before?
No.
You're not a gorehound, are you?
who knows more about the killer than anyone else.
You can see exactly how it happened.
Scrub.
And this is one mess she can't clean up so easily.
There's a name by the body.
Yes. Quentin Tarantino's Rolling Thunder Pictures presents William Baldwin
Why don't you show me what you know? The first time was here.
Yes, Captain. In Curdled, a movie that goes right for the jugular.
You chopped off her head in front of the mirror?
It's horrible.
I know.
The New York Post says Baldwin is menacing, dazzling, and dangerous.
Don't stop looking at me.
A cutting-edge thriller.
A dangerous place for a little girl.
Curdled.
Okay, technically it wasn't produced by Quentin Tarantino. It was produced by his company, Band Apart, and also Rolling Thunder Pictures. However, he does have an uncredited cameo in here, and believe it or not, this actually takes place in the same universe as From Dusk Till Dawn, because not only does he show up with his character from that movie, but George Clooney also shows up in a cameo as his character from that movie, as well as Kelly Preston. So in a way, it's kind of similar to what happened the previous year when you had Smoke and Blue in the Face. We had two different movies pretty much done with the same people, not to this extent, but it felt very similar to that. They even have one of the people who was in Blue in the Face in this movie, Mel Gorham, and the movie overall looks like it's really interesting. It looks like I've never seen the film before, but I honestly didn't even know about it until I saw it, but it looks like it's a really slick type of thriller, something that you didn't usually see that often. You have a really good cast involved here. William Baldwin, Bruce Ramsey, Daisy Fuentes, as I mentioned, Mel Gorham's in here, Kelly Preston, Angela Jones, the woman who plays the lead role in this. She looks like she's having a real good time playing this role. It looks like it could be a really interesting, underrated gem. It looks like a movie that really has a lot of possibilities to it. I really want to see this movie at some point. If I can find it somewhere at a reasonable price, I'll definitely check it out, because I'm actually very curious about this particular film. That's pretty much all I got on that one. That's Curdle. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is Ed's Next Move.
Makes the zipper on my jeans melt.
No, Ed, get out of town.
time to make a move. First, look for an apartment. Hey, Ray! You ready, Brodsky? When do you want to move in? Now, get out there and find a girl.
You don't even know anyone here?
Don't worry about it. You with me.
Americans are obsessed with numbers.
How long have you lived here?
See that? It's the number of years you want to know. The number.
Excuse me. I think I see my dentist.
Go to museums. Very nice to women at museums.
What's this stuff he's using?
Oh, it's bubble wrap. It's the same as always.
This is not bubble wrap.
I wouldn't...
4 women in one elevator? I haven't been with 4 women in the same time zone.
And yes, that is Gavin Belson from Silicon Valley, or as I like to think of him as Mr. Damien from Last Holiday, the Queen Latifah remake. Another movie I never heard of. Basically, sounds like it has kind of a simple story. He's been dumped by his girlfriend, and this scientist decides to go back to his home state in Wisconsin to leave it. He leaves his home state of Wisconsin to take the job in New York City. And he goes to the Big Apple, he gets a new roommate, and he encourages him to start dating again. And he has little luck with women until he meets this woman, Lee, played by Callie Thorne. And they appear to be on the opposites of the surface, but they're going to work but they're going to get together. That's kind of what that's kind of what they're setting up for here. And I mentioned smoke in the last movie. It's interesting because this film's production apparently was made possible with the leftover 35mm film stock they had from when they made the movie Smoke. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see. As far as the movie itself goes, like I said, I've never seen it before, but this actor, Matt Ross, I've seen him in a lot of really good stuff. I think he is a really good actor, and I had no idea he was in this movie. So this is another one that I kind of want to check out at some point. If I could find it somewhere at a reasonable price, this is one I'd be curious to check out and see if it was actually any good. So, again, quick one on that one. Nothing too crazy on that one. That's Ed's next move. On to the next movie, and that is Somebody to Love.
I'm here for the audition.
What part?
Any part.
Welcome to Hollywood, where a wannabe actress,
When you make it, no one can touch you, no one can take it away.
a washed-up boyfriend,
This business is not for the people with weak stomachs.
a kid with a major crush,
How come you don't know how to dance in this thing?
I will take lessons.
and a godfather with one foot in the grave.
If you ever need a job, hook me up. I'll have something for you.
Are all about to discover
Trouble in Paradise?
that everybody needs somebody.
Can't believe I was out there fighting like that.
Yet another one I never heard of, but this one apparently sat on a shelf for about a couple of years because it originally was produced in 1994. You see Rosie Perez in there. She plays this taxi dancer who wants to be an actress, and she gets involved with this married man played by Harvey Keitel, who considers himself to be a respected actor. And this guy Ernesto is in love with Mercedes, but he doesn't dance or have money. So it's a story I think that is very much a mix of a number of different stories going on here. You see the names that they already mentioned in there: Rosie Perez, Harvey Keitel, Anthony Quinn, Steve Buscemi, Stanley Tucci are also in here. So is Samuel Fuller, Sam Rockwell. It's directed by Alexander Rockwell, who had done In the Soup, and before that this movie came out, he had a directing credit on 4 Rooms. Again, another movie that I'm really kind of curious about. I really like Rosie Perez. I really like Harvey Keitel. I really like Anthony Quinn. It's got a good cast to it. It has some really good ideas to it as well. Could actually be a pretty good film, but as far as I know right now, it's one movie I haven't seen. So another one. I said it before, I'll say it again. If I can find it at a reasonable price, I definitely would want to check it out. But that's pretty much all I got on that one. That's Somebody to Love. Let's go ahead and take a look at our last film, and that is The Lion King, the Al Hirschfeld story.
Because I think his whole body has all the spring and delight and electricity that his drawings have. And we tried to get him up here, I don't know, to do something in connection with this particular movie.
So if you don't know who Al Hirschfeld is, you probably have definitely seen his work before. He's done a lot of these unique, different artistic styles of various things, like various actors and actresses. You see in that little clip there, Katharine Hepburn's one of them. Liza Minnelli's another one. He's done a ton of these, and he's left a major impact on a number of different entertainers and personalities. Like, More recently, one of his longtime fans is Eric Goldberg, a famous Disney animator, and you can definitely tell he was inspired by his designs when you see what he did with Fantasia 2000, and more in films like Aladdin, as well as Hercules as well. He's a really damn good artist, man. I've seen a lot of his works before. I never really got to see this documentary before. I definitely see what a lot of people talk about. He has this very unique style to him when it comes to these visuals that he has here. He creates these nice caricatures. He's influenced a number of artists and talented people, and his stuff is amazing to look at. And I wish I could delve more into this, especially with this documentary, but I've never seen it before. I never even knew it even existed, but I love Al Hirschfeld's stuff. Again, this is one I want to see if I can find somewhere. I probably can find it online for free, but I'd like to check this one out. I do like Al Hirschfeld's work a lot. It'd be cool to see a documentary about this guy. So that's The Lion King, the Al Hirschfeld story. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. When we meet next time, 7 more movies to look at, including Steven Seagal's latest film with Keenen Ivory Wayans, The Glimmer Man. Tom Hanks starring in and directing That Thing You Do, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, so we'll have a lot to delve in on that one. We also have D3, The Mighty Ducks, The Wachowski Brothers, Bound. We also have Crash, Infinity, and Small Wonders. So 7 movies to look at. A lot of really good films to take a look at next time around. So next time should be pretty interesting. With that said, though, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, take care.